Hey everybody, Roger here. I want to talk to you guys today about this case that I just started reading a lot about. It started, I read about it a little while ago, but now I'm starting to get deeper and deeper into it. It's a case involving a man who's a groundskeeper at a school named Benicia Unified School District or something like that. And it's in California, I think in a suburb of San Francisco. He was employed there as a groundskeeper between 2012 to 2015, so he was maybe 3.5, 4 years there with them. And his name is Dewayne Lee Johnson, and it is obviously kind of difficult to find information on this because of his name is synonymous with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. So you know, if you want to find out more information on this, which I encourage you to do, definitely do a search for Dwayne, spelled D-E-W-A-Y-N-E, Lee Johnson. Just do his full name because it's appearing like that in all court documents, and I'm pretty sure a lot of outlets out there are publicizing his name that way, so that way it could be relevant and found. And then type in -Rock, so that way you don't have to pull up any information from Dwayne Johnson, The Rock.
Do you smell what The Rock is cooking?
And then Monsanto, so that's how you should do it. So anyways, at his job, he was the groundskeeper at the school district, for the school district, and he was constantly around Monsanto Roundup. And I think everybody in general understands, even with all of the claims that Monsanto is a harmless product, according to Monsanto, and we'll get to more of why. We'll get to more of that in a minute as to why we know it's not. And his claim that the Monsanto products were the things that actually caused his terminal illness. So Johnson was eventually diagnosed with epidermotropic T-cell lymphoma, which actually causes. It eventually started out as a rash that I guess was probably getting very aggravating for him, and from there he was. It started spreading. It started spreading into big lesions, which, if you look at some of the trial pictures, and if you can even just Google them online, but if you look at some of the trial pictures in general, you'd be able to see like how it's all over his body. You know, it's all over his head and his face and everything. And so he was diagnosed with this. Now he did do his due diligence during his tenure at the school district. He contacted Monsanto multiple times, and this was evident in court documents as well, where it shows, you know, his email relays going back to Monsanto, but them never returning any sort of a correspondence back. He basically was asking, hey, you know, I'm experiencing these symptoms. Could it be possible that this Roundup is probably making my symptoms worse? And again, you know, he was trying to do his due diligence, do the right thing to figure out, okay, you know, maybe there's something I'm not reading here. The bad part is that Monsanto never replied to him, and so again, you know, Monsanto, being the corporate shady corporation that they are, they decide to go ahead and just avoid it, thinking, oh, it's nothing, it's nothing. Think of how many, just take that example and think of how many other people have probably contacted him in regards to the same situation or similar situations. Just let that sink in for a minute. Now, I also do want to point out one thing that a lot of people don't know. Bayer has bought out Monsanto, so they are now merged into one company. So you should really, I'm not big, and I'll get into this a little bit later in this video, but I am not big on corporate products at all. You know, if it has anything to do with something that you consume or you put on your body or you're exposed to around a chemical or whatever, or cleaning your house with, no. And you will know why here in a minute. So Johnson, in this case, was awarded $289 million to be paid to him by Monsanto. That's chump change from Monsanto. But the problem here is that Monsanto is actually appealing this, and Johnson's attorneys have asked, you know, can we go ahead and speed this up? Because here's the bad news, people. Here's the bad news about Johnson. His maybe days, maybe weeks, maybe months are numbered. This is a terminal illness he now has to live with, and Monsanto, being the asses that they are dragging this out. You know, instead of trying to do the right thing. Now I can see why they're doing this. I mean, they are corporate. They are a big entity. Paying this out could bring about a lot more similar cases to them. I can see that. And so they're obviously going to have their tough attorneys just fighting tooth and nail, bringing every excuse, and we'll get to that in a minute too. The things that they bring up about this man during the trials are just pointless, but they bring all that up, and so they don't want any more trials like this, I'm assuming, because this was eventually able to be heard in court. The other side of this is that Monsanto, if they should win, it could probably lend them a little bit more credibility, saying, you know what, we've gone to court over a case like this with Mr. Johnson, and it doesn't. We've already determined it doesn't. Through judicial means, that it does not cause cancer. It doesn't cause any sort of lymphoma or anything. It's safe to use. It's basically what it would end up ruling. So it's either or dynamic, and possibly some stuff in between that could happen here. Monsanto always claims that their documents, that their statements are taken out of context. Monsanto has. During this case, there was a lot of things that were uncovered, like records, reports, scientific research, fraud. There's a lot of stuff that's shady with Monsanto, and that's been part of this case as well. They're bringing a lot of this out and basically showing, that Monsanto has acted deceptively, and basically proven their case in favor of Johnson. Monsanto then just says all of the stuff is being taken out of context. There's no out of context. It's just obviously if you listen to a lawyer, maybe a judge knows this as well, but the judge has to be neutral in the whole thing. When you listen to a lawyer, they're going to do whatever they can to twist the words, because it's not about who is right in court. It's not about who is legally right or not. It's who has the better argument that's going to eventually win. And so Johnson's attorneys are going balls out on this, and hopefully, with this appeal that's happening, it's still in the benefit and favor of Johnson. One other thing I do want to mention, and I don't see this anywhere, but I do believe that his school district is partly, if not primarily, responsible for his issue. He had reported that he was having these conditions and everything. He's contacted Monsanto, but his job still required him to use this Roundup. When he started having cancer, they could have at least done something to change the products, maybe to something more organic, or maybe something with no chemicals in it, just to at least help him out in the meantime. But they didn't do that. They still utilized Monsanto products, and I'm pretty sure it's because of budget reasons. So anyways, I do believe that they're partially responsible for this as well. So Monsanto, as cold as they are, they ended up bringing up his past. Stuff back from 1999. There was a domestic abuse charge, I believe. There was some other assault charges and whatnot. Basically trying to burn his credibility, trying to burn him as, an individual, saying that, because here's the thing, because he's a bad person, because he's done these things in the past, he's still doing them to this day. He's not somebody to be believed. Here's the thing, Monsanto, we can all read between those lines, and I'm pretty sure this is where it went to. A person's past, if they've already paid, you went and you dug this shit up. It just goes to show the lengths that you're willing to go through to try to discredit this person by bringing in information that has absolutely nothing to do with this case. So somebody has a past. He's already paid his price for it. He's done his time. He's done his thing. Whatever. That's out. You can't use something when somebody's already paid the price for it. And not to mention this as well. You know what else has happened in the most recent future? He held a good job for him and his two kids. For him, his wife, and his two kids. Araceli, his wife, and his two kids. So you don't. You're not counting that. You're not counting the fact that he's a good man these days. That maybe he was bad in the past, but he's taken a new leaf. I do believe that people change if they really put their heart and soul to it, especially when they have kids, especially when they have a family. They're going to want to do the right thing, and then it's out of desperation that people start to be very bad. There's obviously other in-betweens there about how things happen, but I mean, in his case right here, this is what I see that most likely happened. So you guys are fucking assholes for even bringing up his past, especially when he's already done the time or already paid the price for it. So fuck off with that. That is the stupidest thing, and that should also lessen your credibility as well as a corporation to bring up something like that about somebody's past. Now again, imagine all these other cases that keep keep getting brought up by other people who probably have done the same thing as Johnson has and try to report this information. They probably have their past brought out against them and say, if you ever start to speak up, about this is what's going to be said about you in public. I'm pretty sure that's happened at least hundreds of times. I'm pretty sure. It's an assumption, but I mean, look at the way that their tactics are. They thought they would work on this round here. So, yeah, I don't doubt that for a minute. The sad part is that he's having to deal with Monsanto in the last moments of his life here. And it seems like he's doing it all for the right reasons. He's doing it for his family. He's doing it for the good of just getting the word out there of what this stuff does. It looks like he's wanting to save lives, and if that's not his true intent, it's probably an intent. If it's not his primary intent, it's really high up there, because that's what he's doing. If he wins this, if his attorneys and him win this, it's going to be a big slap in the face for Monsanto and hopefully Bayer. Bayer is not out of this picture. They bought and they merged, so it's definitely a case to keep a close eye on. I really wholeheartedly feel for your scenario, and I really do hope that you're looking at spending time with your family, and it looks like you are, obviously, giving them your best, and you're fighting for them. You're fighting for us. You're doing stuff that we, people who have not been affected by Monsanto yet that we know of, you're doing our work for us, and this is my call to everybody else to start doing theirs as well. If this man who is hopefully you have a long life is what I hope for you. It already looks like you've exceeded expectations, so that's awesome, and I hope your bone marrow transplant goes great. I'm keeping my thoughts and prayers for you there. But if he is able to go out there and do this, we should be able to as well. This man is fighting Monsanto, and it's public, and you should be keeping a very close eye out on this case. I really hate that, part of your relationship in these times right now, Dewayne, is that you're having to deal with these cretins right now, that you have to think about them instead of thinking about your life and your family. So it sounds like you're a hardworking man. I really applaud that. My heart goes out to you. I will try to keep covering this story, and I hope this video actually helps people find out and want to be motivated enough to give their story if they have one as well. I hope that you're able to win this case even after this appeal, and I only wish you the best, man, you and your family. I'm rambling, but I really do hope that this works out all in your favor. You are a hero in my book, and I will call it quits here. All right, you have yourself a good night, and everybody else, keep an eye on this, and peace out.
I did it. I did it. Shut your mouth.